Hello, sixth graders. Welcome to Dividing Mixed Numbers lesson. Pause while you write the lesson title in your interactive student notebook. Pause again while you write today's lesson objective in your interactive student notebook. Today's objective is I can divide mixed numbers by completing practice problems with 100% accuracy in multiple attempts. The standard we're working on for today is interpret and compute quotients of fractions using visual fraction models and equations to represent the problem. As you see at the top of this page, there's a key idea with the pencil icon, which means you need to copy that. The key idea is dividing mixed numbers. It says write each mixed number as an improper fraction, then divide as you would with proper fractions. So let's take a look at example 1 after you have paused your video and taken time to write the key idea in your notebook. Example 1 says we're dividing a mixed number by a fraction. So we're dividing 2 1/4 divided by 3/8. So we write 2 1/4 as the improper fraction of 9/4. So if you remember from 5th grade, we take 2 1/4 and we take the denominator and we multiply it by the whole number. So 4 times 2 is 8. That tells us how many fourths there are in the whole number. And then we add the fourth that we already had. So 8 plus 1 equals 9. And that tells us how many fourths we have all together. So 9/4, and we're dividing that by 3/8. And remember to divide, we keep the fraction on the left as it was, we change the sign to multiplication, and we use the reciprocal, or we flip the fraction on the right. So we multiply by the reciprocal of 3/8, which is 8/3. We look for our common factors, and we divide those out, or we cancel them. So 3 goes into itself once, and it goes into 9 3 times. 4 goes into itself once, and it goes into 8 twice. So that makes a much easier multiplication problem for us. 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 times 1 is 1, and 6 over 1 is just the whole number. So it's already simplified for us, so it equals 6. Here's a model for us to check with. If you were going to draw this model yourself, I would suggest that you use graph paper so that your sections turned out to be nice and even. When we draw them just freehand, it turns out a little bit off, and then it's difficult to see the sections. So if we drew a 1 and a 2 and then 2/4, we'd need to divide that 1 up into 8ths and the 1/4 up into 8ths. So then we want to count out how many 3/8 sections we have. So we have a 3/8 section here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. So that's 6 sections of 3/8. Here's another example for us to practice. We're dividing mixed numbers by other mixed numbers here. So we want to estimate, and so we would round 3 5/6 to 4, and 1 2/3 to 2. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. So we write each mixed number as an improper fraction. So 3 5/6 equals 23/6, and 1 2/3 equals 5/3. And then we look for common factors, and there aren't any, so we just multiply by the reciprocal. Oh, I was mistaken. There is a common factor, 3 and 6. So we cancel those out. The 3 goes into itself once, and it goes into 6 twice. So then we multiply. 23 times 1 is 23, and 2 times 5 is 10. Then you need to change it back into a mixed number. So 23/10 equals 2 3/10. So the quotient is 2 3/10, and that is very close to 2, so our answer is reasonable. Before we start example 3, let's look at the box that tells us to remember something. It says, remember, be sure to check your answers whenever possible. In example 3, you can use estimation to check that your answer is reasonable. 5 1/4 divided by 1 1/8 minus 2/3. So if you round some of these, 5 1/4 is close to 5, and if you divide that by 1 and then subtract 1, you've got 5 divided by 1 is 5, and then 5 minus 1 is 4. So our estimation is over here in this box. So write each mixed number as an improper fraction. So we should go through and do that. So our new problem looks like this: 21/4 divided by 9/8 minus 2/3. So we need to follow the order of operations and divide before we subtract. So 21/4 times 8/9. So we're multiplying by the reciprocal. We're doing the keep, change, flip. And we look for common factors. So 3 goes into both 9 and 21. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 21 7 times. And 4 goes into itself once, and it goes into 8 twice. So 7 times 2 is 14, and 3 times 1 is 3. So that's our multiplication portion. And then 14/3 minus 2/3 equals 12/3, and 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So 4 was a really, really good estimate. It was spot on. Now our last example is our real-life application. 1 serving of tortilla soup is 1 2/3 cups. A restaurant cook makes 50 cups of soup. Is there enough soup to serve 35 people? And then it asks us to explain. So we're taking 50, divide 50 by 1 2/3 to find the number of available servings. So we have 50 cups of soup. Each one is 1 2/3. So if you can imagine this soup in a big pot, and you're taking out 1 2/3 cups at a time, you're doing that over and over until you have your 35 people served. So you want to see if you're going to have enough to serve 35 people. So if your answer to this is 35 or greater, you're all set. You've got enough to serve everybody. So 50 divided by 1 2/3 equals 50 over 1 divided by 5/3. So 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. So we rewrote everything as an improper fraction, and then we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So we look for our common factors. 5 goes into itself once, 5 goes into 50 10 times, and 10 times 3 is 30, 1 times 1 is 1. So our giant pot of soup can serve 30 people, but we have 35 people coming, so it looks like we probably need to make more soup. So it says, no, our 50 cups of soup cannot serve 35 people because 30 is less than 35. There's not enough soup. Remember that you need to complete your notes in your interactive student notebook and finish your questions in your Google form. And if you need to review the lesson and finish your assignment in Big Ideas Math in your spiral notebook and submit that when it is 100% correct. Don't forget to track your progress on your playlist.